even some developers that are partner with you or collaborate with you. But I'm not trying to sell you squat. I'm letting you know that there's information out there that you didn't know existed that will aid you in being successful. And if you do your research like Wikipedia, following up on all the leads that I give you, you will find what you're looking for to be successful. And if you can't, come back and ask me, I'll show you where to go. So, since this is going to be the solution for these types of individuals, you are going to forget about writing thousands of lines of code for something to this magnitude because we're talking about a new way of building something called vibe coding, where you use AI powered no code platforms to build powerful apps. Instead of being a coder, you become an architect. You become the person that describes the app that you want in plain English, and the AI does all the heavy lifting, generating code, designing the database, and building the user interface. We see AI generated platforms right now that can create music and other content. So, this is some serious stuff, and not a lot of people are using it the way it could be utilized in order to serve a massively underserved community. So you're the problem solver who translates a business's need into a functional app, often in a matter of days. So, how do you actually do this? You get familiar with a new generation of tools built for this exact purpose. Now, the leaders in this space are platforms like Bubble, Softer, Glide, and Adalo. Bubble is a powerful visual editor that now integrates with AI, letting you build complex apps with no code. Softer is incredible for beginners because it can turn data from a Google Sheet into a polished client. And that's going to give you the portal or internal tools for the client. Glide and Adalo are fantastic for creating mobile apps just by describing the functionality and dragging and dropping elements. So let's walk through a quick example. If you have an individual, say by the name of Alex, Alex has zero coding background, but is good with tech because, anybody who's been born in the era of the internet and smartphones don't have to know how to code. If they know how to customize their Android or if they know how to tweak their iPhone, you can pretty much get in there and do a lot of things. So, say Alex notices that the local yoga studios are using clunky web forms for class signups. He approaches one studio owner, identifies their pain, and points out manual scheduling with no easy way to talk to the students and payment hassles, and decides to build her a custom app using a platform like Adalo. He starts with booking. You was wondering where do I live? Uh, I can tell you that we're in Tampa, Florida right now. That's about as detailed as it gets. He starts with a booking template and tells the AI that I need the user logins, a class calendar, a way to book a spot, the Stripe integration for payments. The platform generates the basic structure. Alex then spends a few days customizing it with the studio brand's colors and the logo. Within a week, he has a fully within a week he has a fully functional professional app. I thought you lived in Kazakhstan, or was that just vacation? You're talking about the show when we covered Kazakhstan, or the show after that when we were covering Rwanda, back when we were covering Bangladesh, and talking about some of the other countries that you can make, save, and invest money in. Well, I greatly appreciate you following the show, Zenda. We are in the United States and we cover all the countries around the world that you can invest in, live in, thrive in, find good family in, build a good life in, so that you could do international investing, international uh, multi passport living and potentially improve your way of life. So, if you're in an expensive country and you want to go and live in a country that's a little less expensive and stretch your money a little bit further, I give you guys the information on each country and some of the many investment opportunities that are available so that you can go there and potentially stretch your money a lot further because there are some countries like I'm in the United States, one of the most expensive countries around the world. Next to us is like Hong Kong, China, and stuff to that effect. But there are places that you can go to, like Rwanda or Kazakhstan or Bangladesh, that is 30% of the cost of living. There are places like Japan, um, the Philippines, and other areas that have uh, good places to invest and make money. He says, "All right, okay, it makes sense. I thought you moved there. Now, if we move, we'll probably talk about it on the show long before a move happens. Um, I actually after the fact stuff because I've learned in life that real time information can get you got by stalkers. You said, "Do I have roommates? How do you save?" No, actually, there's no need for roommates because when you invest in yourself and you utilize like core resources and not do a lot of wasteful spending, you will find that wasteful spending is one of the reasons why most Americans live at 90% or 95% of their income. But if you take away the wasteful spending, the entertainment, wasting money on women that are only going with you because you're paying, and put your money towards investing, savings, building up emergency funds, building up investment portfolios, you will find that you have plenty. Because if you're dealing with core um, financials, basic bills, you find that you should be living at under 30% of your income. And you find this out when you're investing in housing and other such places. They typically expect you to have less than 40% debt to income. And that's because the wealthy typically works at a 30% or less debt to income. One of the tricks of the trade is that wealthy people say don't buy something unless you have between 3 to 10 times more money than the cost of the item. So if you wanted $100,000 car, you would have to have well over $300,000 accessible to you so that you could buy that car cash up front. That's 30% of the cost of living. So if you're following a lot of the methods that I put up on the channel, then yeah, you will see that you don't need a roommate in the United States if you're spending your money wisely. Now, if you're living above your means and every time you get a raise, you upgrade your standard of living, you'll find yourself always needing somebody extra because all it takes is a couple of furloughed days, a couple unexpected days off, and you're struggling to get money. He says, "Yes, I live in Dallas and rent is expensive." I am very frugal, but stuck in an expensive apartment. Well, you can downsize, but at least I can walk to work. I drive to the mailbox. If I didn't take the dog for a walk, I wouldn't walk. I drive out of the driveway to get to the mailbox and drive back to the house. And then I order everything to be delivered at the house. So the only time I really leave the house is when I'm going to the bank to move money around. I never leave. When we go out of town, we go to the airport. So I say like 3 times a month, I'm leaving the house because I'm leaving a state or leaving a country, going to make money for me. But nowhere in there requires a roommate. It's just me and the two dogs. That's how we do it. But I appreciate you asking. So If you guys weren't aware, yes, we are a highly interactive podcast. So if you're on Twitch or on Twitter, you guys can comment too, as long as you keep your comments appropriate. Now, back to this AI platform because we got quite a few of them up here that we're going to talk about. But these are some of the ones that I want you guys to think about because uh, some of these do cost a little bit of money to get started and some of them don't. But let's say this individual who's trying to create himself a customized app studio for the yoga shop we were talking about, right? Now, within a week, he can have a fully functional professional app. Now, he charges that yoga studio a one time setup fee of $2,000. It's a massive step up from the $5 to $20 per hour earnings from uh, transcription gigs because you could find yourself getting certified as a notary and then doing online notaries uh, to order because you have people that, but notaries these days, people are, unless it's like massive legal documents and a lot of signatures, usually people are paying between $5 and $10 for a notary. But notaries add up. If you can just stamp a piece of paper, sign your name, and put the time and date to the document, and you're getting $10 a signature for that, I mean, as many documents as you can stamp, that's how much money you're making per hour. So you can find yourself, every 5 or 10 minutes with a new customer, you can find yourself stamping uh $10 a minute or $10 every 5 minutes, $20 every 10 minutes. That's putting you at what $120 an hour if you're doing it nonstop, but you can only work so much. And that's again getting paid for your presence. So we want to work towards finding ways where money can make money for you without all of the hassle. Is notary hard to learn? No, you just have to get a certification to be legally authorized in the city and state that you're working in order for you to verify the identity of the person that's signing the document because you're notarizing it as a witness that the person who's signing this document is declaring this document to be factual, which makes that document actionable in the court of law, depending on what kind of document it is, whether it's a sworn testimony or a agreement of sorts. So there's not much behind it. Can you do notary at a Starbucks? You have to talk to your boss about are you allowed to do notary as an employee? But I mean, if you wanted to be a notary and you wanted to do it wherever in society, yeah, if your client is going to meet you at a Starbucks and you're going to notarize those documents you bring, because the notary is going to have a stamp, an official stamp that they use to stamp the document if it doesn't have a notary section typed into it. And then you're going to fill in all of your personal information that identifies you as a licensed notary. You should have some type of um, ledger that allows you to notate payments that are coming to you cash, check, or money order. But if you were going to have them pay with a credit or debit card or wire transfer the money using PayPal or Stripe or something like that, they send you the money digitally. Yeah, you could be inside of a Starbucks and do the transaction as a guest or a customer of the Starbucks. Can you do it while you're working for somebody else? The boss is probably going to be a little bit frustrated with you doing a side hustle on the clock. So, you gotta think about prioritizing your time. But can you do that like anywhere? Yeah, of course. Anybody who needs a notary and finds out that you notarize stuff, they can slide by the job and be like, hey, when you're on your lunch break, you want to notify a couple documents for me? Yeah. As long as you're not working for somebody else, as long as you're not doing it on somebody else's clock. Then, yeah, I didn't work there, but see a lot of business go down. Well, yes, because no, nowadays they're making you buy at least one to three coffees to sit there all afternoon and do business. But Starbucks is a good place to meet people for a date because it's a quiet location reasonably, and everybody there is doing something educational, whether they're studying as students or they're meeting there to do a business transaction where they're negotiating the interaction between one another before they get down to the paperwork, or if it's a first date where you're sitting there analyzing the other person to see if that person is worth taking on a more expensive date. So yeah, Starbucks is a good place because it usually open area, whether you're sitting inside doing it or outside doing it. It's an open area. You can easily find a table to yourself because no matter how busy a Starbucks is, it's mostly the drive-through because inside you have a majority of the tables empty, and then a lot of people like to sit outside and enjoy the weather outside while they're doing their interactions. So it's a good place to go to if you're a digital nomad to knock things out. I like the quality of the facility. Well, I like the cappuccinos. So if this gentleman was to spend to charge $2,000 to the client, now he put a little bit of effort into building this site. He charges the client $2,000 for the setup, right? The client looks over it, they like it, it's good. Now, after that $2,000 setup, you're charging a $300 monthly maintenance fee. This is going to allow you to look back at the site on a regular basis and make sure that nothing's going wrong. Make changes where changes is needed. So you're probably going to log into it at least once a week to see if the site is working the way it's supposed to work from the customer's perspective to make sure that the client is able to access it. Then you would be able to touch base with the client at least once a month, if not twice a month. If they want any changes or additions that needs to be made to the site, you can make those changes or those updates. If they have new events that's coming up and you want to add that onto the site to stay up to date with the factual information of the yoga studio, you can do that. And that's $300 a month for that client. But again, if you're only addressing this client once a week, you could do that 7 times or 5 times. And now you're making $1,500 a week. Yeah. Well, if you did it, hold on. Let me rephrase that because if you're charging $300 a month and you're checking on the client once a week, and you was to stack that up and did that 7 times a week, you might be able to find yourself between 1,500 and 5,000 a month, depending on how many clients you stack on and how you alternated it. Because I was about to say, oh, it's $1,500 a week, but it's not $1,500 a week if each person is paying you $300 a month. But if you were to grab 10 customers, that's $3,000. And if you were to grab 20 customers, that's $6,000. And if you had 20 customers and you were trying to touch base on each one of them at least once a month, that's one customer per day, 7 days a week for 20 days out of the month, giving you a 10-day vacation or at least 2 to 3 days off every week where you would be able to be touching base on one website a day, making sure that everything's good. Because it's not likely that all of your websites are going to go down at the same time. Now, the studio in this experience would be the a thrill client. The owner would be fantastic because they don't have to do any work. They can keep running their business, but you are running the website that is bringing them more business. That is what they're looking for. Now, Alex is doing this. His product has been proven. He now has a template of the app and an approach that he can utilize for a handful of other fitness studios in his region. Since the core structure has already been built, he can deploy a new version of each for each one of the clients in just a day or two instead of spending a few weeks building it from the ground up. By servicing just 5 clients this way, Alex is on his way to generating $1,500 a month in reoccurring revenue, plus that setup fee where he's charging $2,000 per client for the setup fee. He says, I only work part time at a t shirt company What work can I do to start making more money? Eh? Well, this is one. If you're working for a t-shirt company, you can work your way into branding t-shirts, putting logos on t-shirts or putting phrases on t-shirts. And if you're selling phrases, catchy phrases on t-shirts on a regular basis, you can end up buying a large quantity of shirts from the company that you work for at a massive discount, especially since you're an employee. And then you can brand those shirts, put them up for sale online, and sell t-shirts. That's one thing that you can do as a, and we're talking about side hustles, things that you can set up and let it work on its own so that you don't have to do so much work. You don't have to do so much grinding. Yes, you can turn it into a 40-hour a week job, but whatever you want to do, you have to advertise in order to get clientele. But if you already have a primary job, you can utilize this as a side hustle until you build up the clientele to transition into it. He says, I like the notary job. The notary job is fantastic. It's easy. You just look over the documents, look for all the places that need to be signed, confirm that the person signed all the signature places, and abbreviate it wherever abbreviations are located at, and then you stamp your name on it, sign it, you're out of there. And depending on the thickness of the document, you might charge more than $10 or $25. You might charge a 50 to $100. Depends on the importance of the document and the need for a notary. Because nowadays you're competing with banks that'll notarize for free, Amscot that'll do it for $10. Some check cashing places that'll do it as well. So you got to figure that part out. Well, you asked, what about AI? We're talking about using AI to help start up a side job that doesn't require you to put a lot of effort into getting it started, where your cost to get it started is far cheaper than the uh, the cost that you're charging the customer, which will allow you to get your money back off your investment seemingly fast. Because what if you had to pay $500 like Wix to get access to the pro services? The client's going to give you $2,000 startup fees. Soon as you finish building the website, you got your money back plus 1,500 extra dollars. And then they're going to pay you $300 a month to keep it up. So if there is a service fee for annual renewal, if they're giving you $300 a month to keep the site up, if it's $500 a year to keep the website up as your cost, you can take like $50 a month out of your $300 a month and put it towards the renewal of that website. And that website will stay running for an eternity. As long as they pay you, their site stays up. We're going to be talking about some other AI resources that you can utilize as a very simplistic way to generate a startup. And he's asking, do you trust AI? Uh, okay, sentient AIs? No, because of course it could be a situation where, like Terminator, Sarah Jane Chronicles. Do I trust AI to provide me with more accurate information that I'm willing to spend 8 days to go find? Of course. Do I trust AI to follow my instructions and produce for me something that might take 10 people 10 days to do? Yes. Can I trust AI to drive my car without me being able to drive? Yeah. But do I know that somebody can hack into that AI system and drive my car off a cliff? Of course. Do I know that when AI isn't Terminator just fake? That can't really happen. Okay, yes, it can. Uh, First of all, movies and television is factual information put into a fictional story for entertainment. Television and music has always been ways to transform or process information, get it to the masses. So yes, machines that are shaped like humans, that function like humans, walk, talk, sound like humans can happen. It's happening right now. When the movie was created, people thought that would never happen. Here in 2025, there's at least eight that I know of major companies that are making companion robots. They're making personal assistant robots that are life size, shaped like humans, walking, talking, facial structure, looking like humans. Their mouth moves almost exactly the way humans would move. It it is not AI all the time. It's not like AI generated shorts and videos on social media about these people creating actual machines that replace humans. It actually does happen. Hacking is that real? That's funny. Of course, hacking is real. I would like a robot that can cook and shower me with compliments. Elon Musk already made like 10 of those get out of a car that drove itself. So they could be the next law enforcement. You never know. Now, here's a pro tip about uh, generating that software for those yoga studios. And this is going to be a guarantee for your success. If you niche down what you're trying to accomplish, then you will be more successful. Don't be a generic app builder. Become the go to AI app builder for a specific industry that you understand. If you're a former restaurant manager, build apps for the restaurants. If you know the trade, build apps for plumbers and contractors. When you niche down, you understand the pain points better than anyone, and you can create a repeatable solution that you can sell over and over again to a select few who exclusively need that resource. This allows you to guarantee long term success because getting the trial period out to a million people, that's nothing. Even if it's a million people with a 30-day money back guarantee on $1, you might walk away out of that with $250,000 if you're lucky, because a lot of people will try to get that money back after the trial period. I love it. How do you have confidence? I am scared to talk to people. They are just so mean and give me ugly looks. Hey, I got people that are mean to me on this podcast on a regular basis. They've kind of settled down some now that they know that I'm not going to give up. But uh, self-esteem is supposed to be the esteem of yourself. It's not supposed to be dependent upon what other people think about you. It is not peer reviewed. Your self-esteem is not a Yelp review or a Reddit response. It is what you think about yourself. So first things first is that you have to proactively think highly of yourself, and then you want to follow through with not giving a damn about what other people think about what you're trying to accomplish. Because if people ain't complaining about how you do what you do, you ain't doing something right. Haters are going to hate on a regular basis. People who are jealous of your success are going to put themselves in a position to try to tear you down so that they can build themselves up. People will try to force you to fail because they can't succeed. And you just got to ignore that. So, I mean, if I've got people that are negatively interfering with my podcast, it that means I'm doing a good job. Because if I wasn't doing a good job, they wouldn't value me enough to come and troll my podcast. So whenever I get a troll, I'm excited about that because that troll values me enough to come to my podcast and provide me with a lot of user content. And then I don't care what people say about me because, as long as what they're saying is not derogatory or devaluing, I typically ignore it. But if it starts getting out of control, I block them because I don't know who it is. It doesn't affect me none. But I do have individuals that do like to double back and try to stalk me from multiple different platforms and multiple different user profiles. Once they drop the hint that I know them, I block them. Can my friends contact me? Plenty of times. I've had them come on the show live. But those individuals that deliberately come to my podcast just to try to help me fail, I can fail on my own. Thank you. That gets my self esteem is low. That's why I like your show. Well, you should like my show because your self esteem should not be low if you watch my show long enough. He said, I wish people would try to build fellow humans up. Well, we have a society of feminism that is pro go girl and less family oriented, less societal support. So it's all about the women must conquer everything instead of being cooperative to everyone. And then the men are just suffering trying to make it. And it's every man for himself. While we do tell each other, don't give up, keep fighting for what you're going for, we rarely put in help for the next man to help them get to where they got to go because men are supposed to be lone wolves and are supposed to be able to survive on their own capabilities. Now, because everyone's working against the group, men and women alike, we're divided. We're divided by gender, we're divided by age, we're divided by social status, we're divided by race, we're divided by political views, we're divided by religious views, and we are so divided that we can be involved in a government shutdown for 3 weeks because we can't get along. But if we were all working towards the same goals and we were all working towards the same success, nobody would be poor. We wouldn't have a class system. Everybody would be getting along, but that is only in a hypothetical perfect world. That's crazy. Well, that's the truth. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Now, when you're niching down, you're able to understand those pain points better than anyone else. And that allows you to repeat this solution over and over again for other customers. The next gig that we're going to be getting into is one of the most accessible and immediately profitable opportunities to come out of the AI boom, and that is going to be the freelance AI content editor. I've been getting a lot of people that's been offering me this. How long is the government shutdown going to last, would you guess? Well, there are some behind the scenes demands. You have a lot of individuals that are not cooperating with the Trump administration. I would expect 1 to 2 more weeks at the very least, um, specifically because those individuals that don't really care about not getting a paycheck, especially if they are essentially working and they're going to get their check after a while, they don't care. They're going to get what they're going to get out of the situation. Everybody else is collateral damage. So since the Trump administration is putting the foot down on certain demands, until those demands are met, there isn't going to be much flex. It was the same thing with the tariffs. Until the demands were met, there wasn't going to be much flex. TikTok will be sold. That's the reason why China's not being taxed 145%. They are essentially hitting people in the wallet. It's an old phrase. Um, you don't hit them in the face, you hit them in the wallet. It hurts more. Instead of losing your voice yelling and debating and arguing and brawling and all this other stuff, you just cut their paychecks. They'll work with you. When they get desperate enough, they can't afford to pay for their stuff. Their things are about to start getting repossessed. You're living the life on a high hog. They're going to come to you and beg you to cooperate just so that they can get their paycheck. It's called leverage. So typically, when you are the underdog in a negotiation, you have less control over the situation than the other person because the resources that they have, you need. They don't need it. So whatever it is that they want is worth whatever you're willing to give up for it. So typically, in a good deal, both people are equally satisfied or reasonably dissatisfied. However, in a situation where leverage overrules the situation, it's like having a handful of spades in a game of spades as the last five cards in your hand. Everybody's got a card to play, but it's not like they're going to beat the cards you have left because you have all the leverage. It's typically what happens. It happens in business, it happens in legal cases, it happens in child custody cases, it happens in relationships. It doesn't always have to be blackmail. A lot of times it could just be that I'm financially capable of waiting until you can afford to give in or you can't afford not to give in. Then we'll start discussing. It's almost like those criminals that are arrested for doing a crime and the police put them into the interrogation room and let them wait for a few hours before they come and talk to them. Let them sweat it out. Let them sit there and worry. Let anxiety take over. And then you go sit down and talk to them and see exactly what they're going to do. He says, wow, that's crazy. I never want myself repossessed. Well, then you better start building you an emergency fund. I worked too hard for my car. 1 year left to pay it off, and it's a 2022. Well, you need to be making double payments on that bad boy. Try to get it paid off for 6 months. And then once you get it paid off, do not finance another one. If you can't afford to buy a car cash up front, don't buy one. Matter of fact, Mike will tell you buy a car out the auction. Because if you buy a car out the auction, you could probably get that same 2022 for 30% of the value of what you paid for it. And then you would have two vehicles. And me, myself, I would only have one of them registered because you're only required to have insurance on the vehicle that's registered. Have the other one parked in the yard. When the first one breaks, you just swap plates. Legally, though, because you're going to call the DMV, pay $20 to change over the registration, call your insurance company, change over the insurance, and now you're driving a whole nother car. You don't have to rush to put your car in shop. Take your sweet time. Long as you own it, fix it whenever you can. When you finance it, you're wasting money on it sitting in the yard broke, and you got to pay it. You ain't got to put no money in it if it's broke, and you own it. You can just park it until you feel like it. It could be a collector's item until you decide to put it back on the road. One like when you watch those movies where they go into their garage and take the car cover off a vehicle that been sitting there for 50 years. The only reason why they can pull that off is because they own that vehicle. You got to think about that. So let's start with this program. Uh, AI tools like ChatGTP or Perplexity have opened the floodgates on content. Yeah, well, here on this and that, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between, we work on trying to make it make sense. So, every bit, if you haven't, make sure that you like and subscribe today. Hit that like button, make sure that you subscribe, and then mash those reaction buttons because we're going to be getting into a lot more stuff over the next couple of hours because we're going to be here for a little bit. I can see it now. Every business is churning out a blog post, social media updates, and website copies. But here's the thing, it's a very interesting catch. They're all discovering most of it is terrible. He says, I use Google Gemini, it's free. ChatGTP is free. Um, Perplexity is free. There are quite a few of them that are free. There is the Google AI that is not Gemini, that the beta test that they're doing right now, that is also free, that curates. So you have like all images shop, but on the opposite side of all, you have what's it called? AI more, I think is what it's called, or AI mode, and you switch over there, and then it does this thing and it starts doing its countdown, and then all these words come up, and then bam, whole new detailed line of information coming out of Google. But then you also have the Gemini, where you push a button and then you just throw in a what if, and then it gives you information, which you can ironically copy the template, paste it in an email, or send the information to yourself some kind of way where you can upload it onto your computer. They're doing a lot of stuff. uh Chat gets worth it. Yep, well, that's what we work on doing. We start talking about ways to make money for yourself. So because this isn't just about hanging out and entertaining you guys with my amazing voice. No, we're here talking about ways that you can make money without so much effort, where you can turn about a larger return on your investment, where you can stop struggling working for somebody else. Even if you want to keep the job that you've been familiar with for the past 5 years, if you go from working double overtime to working regular time, or if you go from working 70 hours a week to working 30 hours a week, you can get some damn sleep. So if all I do is give you enough information today where you can make enough money to subsidize your income so that you can go from working double overtime to just working full time, where you're doing 35 hours a week, 8 hours a day with a 1 hour lunch included in that 8 hour time frame, and only do that 4 to 5 days a week, where you've got more time off to be at the house with your family, then I did my job. He said, yeah, it's a deep dive. Yes, sir. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to do a deep dive. Yeah, make money with less effort is smart, because a lot of people work too many hours. But not only do we work too many hours, most of us find ourselves putting ourselves in a job that requires a lot of strenuous physical activity. It requires less brain power and more manpower or female power. So you're using your hands, you're using your body to make money and bring money in. You're using your feet because as security guards, you're walking around all day. Anybody in hospitality, you're waiting on somebody else hand and foot, whether you're in a restaurant, in a hotel, or whatever. You're paid for your presence. And I want you guys to understand that while they're replacing manual labor workers with machines, you don't have to get paid for your presence. You could get paid for your effort. And then you can continue to get residual income from your efforts while you're asleep, instead of only getting paid for your presence. He says, that's why I only work part time. I make enough to survive, but I can't work too much. I get stressed. Well, some people have physical injuries, some people have poor health, some people dealing with old age, and there's a lot of reasons why people are not capable of doing what they used to do 20, 30, 40 years ago. Likewise, though, outside of the high stress of the job, you also have the Gen Zs that want better work life balance, where you're spending more time with friends and family and less time on the job. You also might want to try building yourself a retirement where you can get paid off of the computer and go live in a different country like Kazakhstan or Belize or um, uh, we were just talking about Croatia last week. Croatia last week. We were talking about Croatia. I got to give you another show, another country tomorrow. I haven't put it up yet. I forgot. But we're going to be covering a different country every week, and you should be able to find different places that you could go and live. And some of the countries that I talked to you guys about, you have either a digital nomad visa or a work visa, where if you don't go there to work for one of their companies, you could go there showing a consistent income from out of their country, where you're getting paid off of the internet and you are doing guaranteed direct deposits on a regular basis for a period, certain quantity of capital, and they will give you a 12-month visa allowing you to stay in their country for longer than a 3 month tourist visa. And that allows you to move to another country, live there for a longer period of time. Where if you're making American dollars in a country that $12,000 a year would get you by, and you're making 50 to 100,000 a year of American money in a country that's cheaper than that, like the Philippines or Japan, Indonesia, or Vietnam, then your money can go a whole lot further. You don't have to up your standard of living to live like Americans, but you could live an upper middle class lifestyle in one of those countries where you don't have to struggle. You got a housekeeper, you got a cook, you might even have a chauffeur to take you where you got to go. And, you could find you a husband or a wife out there, and you'd be able to live the good life because you're making the money that you need to make from wherever you at. And you'd be doing it from the comfort of a comfy chair, just like this. Is I'm 30, but with two T's, have not much savings. only like 5K. I am not paycheck to paycheck, but I feel cost of living is too high. You're in America, the cost of living is extremely high, and you're going to find yourself almost paycheck to paycheck. And that's one of the reasons why I tell you guys about budgeting, investing, and then living off of the interest of your investments so that that $5,000 can turn into $150,000 so that you don't have to go to work. You go to work because you want to, not because you have to. Yeah, getting paid off the internet would be great and live somewhere abroad. And you can live in different places abroad because you don't got to show up. You don't got to package the product. You don't got a customer service squat. You answer the phone when they call. You call them back when you don't answer the phone. You work it out with them via email. They've got everything they need. You're getting guaranteed pay as long as they're paying you online for the service you've already performed, you're good to go. And if you're paying your bills, like I recommend, 2 to 3 months in advance, if somebody falls back on a payment, you got plenty of time to recoup that money. It says also, do you trust people with cats? I have one dog. Oh yeah, I love cats and dogs. I got two dogs. There's a bunch of cats in the family. Love animals. We used to have chickens and ducks and goats. We never had horses though, but we had possums and frogs and rabbits, deer. We never had those animals for long because mom used to cook all the pets for dinner, but we had a lot of animals. I need to tune in more often. I don't know why I haven't seen one of your lives more often. I can tell you why, because a lot of my shows are controversial because we talk about political stuff, we talk about international trade, we talk about religion, we talk about a lot of stuff that is controversial. And YouTube takes 90% of my shows when too many words in the show leads into controversial or sensitive topics and they slide me into the restricted adult mode. So you're not going to really see me that often unless if you're watching me right now, go into your settings on YouTube, go down to restricted mode, turn it off. When you turn it off, you will see my whole channel light up on your platform like, holy crap, this guy covers a lot of stuff because I do a show every single night, 7 nights a week. We're talking about money on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We talk about relationships and personal development, networking, and business development on Friday, Saturday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And then Sunday is questions and comments from the fans. So when you guys got questions, I got answers. So yeah, definitely hit that like button, subscribe, tune in more often, share it with some of your friends and family members that didn't know that we existed, and they can come in and learn some stuff too because I cover information from all over the world. Primarily a lot of stuff I talk about is America because I'm here in America, but I do cover some of the best parts of every country that I touch base on. And I let you know that nothing is so good that it's too good to be true because there's always a downside to every country. But once I cover the good side, you know what you're aiming for, but you also know what to look out for at the same time. It says, well, talking about controversial is good for the world. Controversy happens when people don't agree. And ultimately, you have to navigate the conflict in order to get where you want to be. Being able to negotiate and compromise is how you get through conflict. And I talked to you guys about some of the best ways to do that, which helps you with your relationships the same way it helps you with business, the same way it helps you with geopolitical trades, the same way it helps you with international travel. For example, you might be able to go to North Korea if you had a passport from a country that North Korea doesn't hate. But do you really want to go to North Korea? The amount must have been 3 months. Now I've been doing this for several years now. Actually, we revamped the show August of last year, and all of the shows from August of last year until now are still accessible on the show. All the lives are there because we do at least one live a day, and then we also have shorts and long form videos and branded content all over the place on the show. Yeah, we've been around for a long time. We started in October of 23, and we've been going through it for a long period of time. I genuinely thought you lived in Kazakhstan. I appreciate that. Well, that means that I sold it. That means I talk so good about Kazakhstan that I look like Kazakhstan was my home country. But no, I do a lot of research. I've been in Florida since 2005, and I went to one of the top five universities in the country, research based facility, and I continue to do research. Got 3 degrees: microbiology, communication and health, and computer technology, and I continue to do research. This podcast is a good outlet because I get to share that knowledge with the world, and I help you guys make yourself successful. Now, my legacy is the success of the people around me. So if millions of people that are watching my show improve themselves in some way, shape, or form, they will remember that they got that information from Xander when they came to this and that, because I was talking about this, that, and everything in between. So they would be able to tell their family and their friends and their kids about my podcast. And I would be able to leave the type of legacy that would outstand the test of time, because the information that's on this show can be reused for generations to come. Now, stock options and trades and stuff like that we talk about, the values might change over time, but the trades themselves still valid. The actions and processes and research that you have to do to make sound decisions is still going to be able to be utilized. It's just that the values and potentially in some situations the companies might shift. But how I found those companies and how you can find those companies, same method 20 years from now. But I should still be doing this 20 years from now. He said, "Yeah, I really enjoy the content. There is way too much sloppy junk that just tries to provide shock value. I've noticed that, and a lot of the shock value that they do, when I see some of it, especially when it interferes with social interactions, I try to debunk that, because you see, like when they did recently, they were talking about Japan charging a bachelor tax or a single tax. And oh yeah, you can go to Japan and get you a woman easier now because of the singles. There ain't no singles tax. Everybody's being charged more money to contribute to the child welfare laws, where there are aiding families to repopulate the country. And the difference is that married people get discounts, people with children get discounts. Married people with children get double the discounts, and single people with no children don't get any discounts. So it wasn't that they were taxing people more. It was that they were taxing everybody equally, but you got discounts if you had kids, because they're promoting the next generation. So if you're willing to drop children, they're willing to cut your costs so that they can bring more kids into the country, because it was a widely understood thing all across Asia that the reason why the birth rate was going down was because the cost of children cost too much. That's why if you want a bunch of children and not have to deal with the high standard of living that you would have to have for all of those children, you would go to Asia, because their incentives covers the cost of childcare until they're 18. In America, you don't get the cover of childcare in America. You have to be poor to get childcare covered in America. But in Asia, you just have to have a native child, and you can go over there and get childcare covered. They cover between 50 and 100% of each one of the children that you have until they're 18. So if you had 10 kids, you would still be paying for the standard of living of 2 adults, because the children would be covered under the child care. Now, yeah, you're going to have to deal with if you want to put them in private school, and you might have to deal with paying for their college and all of this other stuff. But just to have the kids, that part's covered. So, yeah, I do a good job. I try to debunk a lot of the things, but I only pay attention to the stuff that negatively impacts your ability to make, save, and invest money, and the ability to start a family and live life. Because a lot of people are family oriented people, and they're having a tough time in Western culture trying to find family oriented women. And at the end of the day, there anything that compromises a man's ability to find the family that he's looking for, or the any person, man or woman's ability to find the finances that they're looking for. I debunk those myths and tell you guys where you can go to find ways to make money for you. Is that I like a good joke now and then, but misinformation is just disingenuous and wrong, but somehow it is accepted if it is emotionally charged. You know what's funny about it? People take the factually false information. They know that it's false, but then they take it and say, "What if this were true? I wish it were true." And then they ride that wave. Then it goes viral, and people don't pay attention to the comments. They're like, "Oh snap!" And then they take it as fact. You got some people who do not do research, and they take a false thing that went viral and they turn it into fact. When a topic goes viral, that's a topic I research. Why is this viral? Because if it was a thing, wouldn't everybody be doing it? The stuff that I give you guys is curated information that is undervalued, meaning that it can make you money. It can give you a lot of success, but not too many people want to look into it and try it that way. A lot of people go to real estate, which is an easy thing to get into, but it's a hard thing to get into because one of the things you need to get started with real estate is money. If you don't inherit property where you can start by leveraging your own assets, you need money. If you don't have your own money, you got to borrow somebody else's money. And borrowing somebody else's money requires you to have your own, you have to have good credit or a good payment history and no bankruptcies and sometimes capital to leverage. And if you don't have any of that, they're not going to get into the deal with you unless you're leveraging the deal where the interest rates are higher, so that you can get paid. But once you start getting paid, yeah, you can turn profits off of real estate. You can make between $10,000 and $20,000 per sale on real estate. But in order for you to make 120,000 a year, you're probably going to have to do 20 houses, which means you're selling 2 to 3 houses a month. But you got to find 2 to 3 houses a month to buy, and then you got to renovate them. So there's a lot of different ways that you can make money. Because like here in America, you can do joint ventures with nonprofits and pick up properties, rent them out with the nonprofit, put them up for sale with the for profit, pay the nonprofit. If you're an executive member of the nonprofit, you get a check. If you're a board member of the business, the for profit, you get another check. There's ways to do it. Every country that I've talked to that has an initiative for real estate development has an initiative in low income development areas where poor people or semi poor people don't have enough places, affordable places to live. You can get in there. If you're not greedy about it, you can get in there and start up an empire where you're underselling everybody else. You can do a bunch of rental properties where you're under renting everybody else and massively impact the market. There's a lot of things that can be done, but the people like shortcuts. They don't like the hard grind. They also don't realize that even though I'm telling you guys that this is a good way to go and it is a less difficult way to get started, still got to advertise. I just talked about one type of job that you could do, which is providing websites for yoga studios. But you have to find yoga studios that don't already have a website, which takes work. You have to pitch the product to them, which takes work. Then you got to go find another person, which takes work. Remember, I told you the first job might pay you $2,000 up front and $300 a month. In order for you to have a $3,000 a month standard of living, you would need 10 clients. Until you get 10 clients, you find yourself in a situation where you're working somewhere else, making the bulk of your money, and then doing this on the side until you build up to those 10 clients. So, switching from flipping burgers at McDonald's or dancing on a pole to doing something like this, you're going to have to do whatever you were doing before to keep your standard of living together until this makes enough money to outdo that so that you can quit what you were doing and start focusing on this. And that's one of the reasons why the information I give you guys is stuff that not too many people know about. And there's so much information on the internet at the touch of your finger. Nobody really cares about it. So nobody actually looks for it. So when I cover it on my show, you guys are seeing public knowledge at its best. What we used to call common knowledge back in the day, it ain't common no more because don't nobody want to learn nothing. So when you stumble on this, because this isn't on your live feed, this isn't scrolling through your For You page. This was sitting in the archive somewhere, and you just so happen to see making money for 50 bucks and getting paid every day, and you clicked a button. You proactively chose to come to the show today, and now you're learning something. I'm not a hot chick with my cleavage showing so that you can sit here and oogle over me and then learn something. There is nothing here for you besides knowledge and financial opportunities. And it takes a select few wise people, men and women alike, that want to learn how to make themselves better and improve their finances. And this is the show for them. Everyone else, they're scrolling through looking for the guy that's having a seizure across the ground, or the girl doing the back bend across the street, or the people who set themselves on fire, or the First Amendment auditors that piss off the police. That's what they look for. They look for chaos. I don't bring chaos. I talk about profits. So the only chaos that I'm going to talk about is how profits are not being made. He said, I hear so much about Japan and other countries in Asia being paradise. Yeah, they're pretty good. They said real estate is too complicated for me. Um, Japan and other areas in Asia is considered paradise because the cost of living is 30% of the cost of living in America, unless you're living in Hong Kong. Hong Kong is the same price as living in New York, which is one step shorter than living in California. However, because places like Japan and Indonesia, Vietnam, and the Philippines are areas in Asia where you can live between $1,000 to $2,000 a month, which is between $12,000 and $24,000 a year. And in Asia, you're living at like under $800 a month, so you can live for $10,000 a month in Japan, especially in Nagano, Japan, and start up a business and hire two Japanese people to run a business for you, and they'll give you 18 months worth of salary for them folks after you. It's a reimbursement, but after you finish getting your paperwork together, which means you can start up a business you don't have to run, and they will work it for you until it makes money for you, as long as you pick the kind of business that's worth turning profits on. So all of these things are worth getting. And then in Japan, if you go into real estate in Japan, you can buy houses that cost no money, pay the property taxes, which is like 50 bucks, renovated, which is like $250,000. It ain't cheap, but when you renovate the property, you can rent it out. And if you're doing it as an American international business, you can write off your investment in the property that you built in Japan off of the taxes from the money that you made in profits in America and use it as a tax blanket. So if you're making $1 million in the US and you're building $250,000 houses in Japan, tax write off. You say, realistically, I want to work full time online. Realistically, I want my money to work full time and I don't have to. But since I can't get that, I will settle for getting paid for whatever I try to accomplish online so I can keep doing that no matter where I go. It is better for you to have a computer with a backup computer so that if your first computer breaks, you still got a backup computer. But I want to make sure that I'm making my money make money for me so that when I stop, I can just stop. He doesn't want to help people, but only work online from like 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. You can do it depending on what you want to do. You got to find the market that's available at that time. That I can do that and keep my other job until I get better. Exactly. And that's why I'm giving you guys these ideas, because you can transition from whatever it is that you're doing now to something that you want to do that requires less effort and you make more money. And if you're working at your own schedule, because this is website development, so this is something that you do when you get ready to, and then you contact the client when you get ready to. The only time that you're in high demand is when the site goes down. That's it. But beyond that, like if they ask you to update the site, you're going to take the site down while they're closed. So if you were one of those people that like to sleep late and get up early, or uh, uh, work late and get up early, or vice versa, where you wanted to sleep in and then start working late in the evening time, Their company closes at like 6, 7 o'clock at night. You roll out of bed at 7:45. You start working on their site, get it back up and running. You go to bed at the crack of dawn. They're up working. You're asleep. You're getting paid. That's a good gesture to have. Then I feel my mind exploding. The new ideas are flowing with all the possibilities. That's what we're here for. That's exactly what we're here for. So one of the things that we notice about these AI platforms is that they're giving you guys generic, soulless, and often factually inaccurate information. I typically curate my information for hours, if not days on end, and then I bring it up here, and then we have Michael come in and he fact check me on the show. So if I tell you something, he can definitely tell you that it does exist that way. It's not a what if, it is what it is. But the factually inaccurate information that people just fall back on because they'll go to ChatGTP, ask ChatGTP one question, and they'll live by that, even if it's wrong. They'll live by it like the Bible. And this has created an unorthodox but booming new freelance role that offsets because everything that we do in life, usually technology is created by men. No offense, women, but it is. Men create things so that we can be lazy. We create things so that our wives can be lazy. We've got vacuum cleaners, dishwashers, washers and dryers, scotch free. No, we have wrinkle free clothes, stain resistant clothes because we don't have women that are willing to get the stains out of our clothes, iron our clothes, wash and dry our clothes. We have instant meals with microwaves because women don't cook our food no more. We got dishwashers because women don't wash the dishes no more. We got rovers and shark vacuum cleaners that are programmed by a cell phone to clean the house 4 times a day because women don't clean the house no more. And the women are at work making money and they balling out of control making money. We got cars that drive ourselves because we're so busy updating our social media status behind the wheel of the car that we can't pay attention to the road. So we got to go buy a Tesla to take us where we got to go because we don't have enough common sense to pay attention to the street. We've got we don't have a romantic partner that pays attention to our priorities. So we have notifications on our cell phone, AI assistants on our cell phone. We have fintech to make it easier for us to trade, invest, and watch our money in the bank because we don't have the time to go to the bank. We build stuff. This is what we got going on. So when you find a problem in society, there's an app for that. And if there isn't, you should make one. That way you fill the void. And you could where there's a problem, there's a profit. Remember that. So when Puffy said he had 99 problems, that means there was 99 opportunities I could have made a profit off of. Think about that. He said, well, inventions to be lazy isn't wrong. It's just efficient. I hate spending too much time thinking about all my things to do. Well, one of the things I told you guys about before was to list down all the things that haven't been done that you expect to get done. Out of them, you list them in two different categories: priorities and non priorities. Out of your day, you want to pick two priorities and three non priorities. The two priorities are going to be the ones that are either going to take the most time or have the shortest deadline or be the most required thing that needs to be done in the immediate. The three non priorities can be put off till tomorrow. Every day, you want to try to cover one of two major things and two of three non major things, which means that you will accomplish three things per day out of your list. Everything else can wait till tomorrow. Now, as you go along, the things that are not that important will continue to wait until you realize it was never important. You just never did it and you kept pressuring yourself to get it done. The things that need to get done will get done, period. And then every day or every week, you go back and you look at all of the things that you have accomplished on your list. And then celebrate the fact that you got so much stuff done. Then, when you look at what stuff you actually have to do for the week, you will come to find that if you could put it off till tomorrow, take a break today, you'll find that you have more free time to rest and replenish your brain. It's not about being lazy. It's about not overstressing yourself out, overstimulating yourself, and because you can find yourself in a level of fatigue and exhaustion simply because you're mentally tired, not physically tired. You can do more extensive work with your brain than what you can do breaking bricks all day. So it's all about finding some sort of routine more than it is with finding balance. Balance will happen. You just have to work through it. Then your to do list wouldn't be so much of a to do list. I've come to find that out of all the things that needed to get done, I could get most stuff done in a day. My list is short. There are things that I want to do eventually. And then there are things that I don't really need to do, which puts me in a less stressful life. Is I like that idea, pushing it to the next day. It doesn't feel overwhelming. You really hit the nail on the head with mental fatigue. We who have sage wisdom have been through the school of hard knocks multiple times and graduated with honors. We have learned through personal experience what hard life is like. And based on what we've learned, we have found ways to navigate past that. In my generation, we have not had any apprenticeship style social environments. The good old boys club that we're all jealous of is silver spoon babies that have their great grandfather's money given to them as an inheritance, right? They're taught how to not waste that money. They're taught how to make more money. They're taught how to haggle, how to negotiate, how to socialize in order to put themselves in positions to find the best money deals, to find the best negotiations, to leverage the most financial opportunities where their whole life is about communicating and negotiating and compromising so that money is made from the golf course, money is made over dinner, money is made on the yacht, money is made on the plane, money is made because they answered the phone. The rest of us tell our kids go out there and work for the people who live off of that money. We are not taught how to make, save, and invest. We don't know how to make, save, and invest. We waste every dollar that we get and we stay broke. If we don't stay broke, we go bankrupt. Then we continue to start our lives over and rebuild. Every 2 to 5 years, we're starting over. We're starting over. Bad relationships, start over. Bad jobs, start over. Move to a new location, start over. And it continues to be harder to start over the older you get. Then we find ourselves middle age. We finally figured it out. And now we're going to spend the next 20 years between 35 and 45 trying to run that 20-year pattern to 65 or 75 and pray that we don't die before we make it. That's what we do. But if we had an apprenticeship, which is what this and that is doing, telling people around the world the knowledge that they need to make themselves better now. You're 30 years old. If you look at all the shows that I put out since January this year, you should be set to make sure that come 2026, you're on the right path where you hopefully have a 10-year plan to retire, if not a 20-year plan to retire. So by the time you're 50, you don't have to work, and the next 40 years of your life is easy street. That's the goal. That's what I teach you guys. I provide you guys with all the information to make it there. He said, yeah, no more people pulling you under the wing. It feels like a doggy dog world. It is. He said, but get inspired by running into channels like this one. You need to. He said, in eating seems smarter. Yeah. He said, I want a 10-year plan, year 40. Well, first you have to be able to go from having $5,000 in the bank to having a year and a half worth of money accessible to you in case you can't work and you're not generating extra revenue. Then you want to be able to start investing in things like stock options, Bitcoin, gold, silver, specifically silver, because silver is cheaper and it's undervalued. So when it does start shooting up in value, you will start seeing 10 times more return or 100 times more return because it is operating at about 10% of the value of gold right now. You also have precious metals that you can invest in, cryptocurrencies that you can invest in. I told you guys about investing in legal action. You can loan money to legal action, car accidents, civil suits, get paid premiums off of that. We didn't even think about stuff like that. We knew about tax liens and tax deeds where you can loan money to people to pay for their taxes on their houses so that they don't lose their houses. But nobody knew that you could loan money to a civil suit to keep the civil suit going. And then when it settles out of court, you can get a stack of cash for that. That's a thing where you don't got to, yeah, you got to wait till the civil suit is over, but you don't got to do nothing for that. You take money that you're not using, you put it up on a surefire open and shut case. Then when it settles, you get your cut right after the lawyer gets their cut, and then the defendant or the plaintiff gets whatever's left over. So you've got to figure out what's your bottom line, how much money you need to live the lifestyle you want to live. Then you need to calculate how much money you need to put away per month every year until you reach the amount of money where, reasonably speaking, 10% of the principal is interest paid to you that you can utilize to live off of. When you find that number, that is what you're aiming for. So let's say you wanted a $60,000 a year lifestyle. At 10%, you're trying to put away $600,000 worth of money. If you're trying to put away $60,000 a year worth of money, you're looking at trying to put away between $40,000 and $50,000 a year, so that about 400,000 plus interest would have been put away over the course of 10 years in order for you to stop doing what you're trying to do. Then you know that you're good to go. Now you don't have to stop at that $600,000, but that $600,000 allows for you to quit your job if you wanted to. But if you can get to that level in 10 years, you could keep your job with less stress, double down on your standard of living or reinvest the money into your standard of living, and 20 years later you will be making 100 or not 20 years later, 10 years later, you would be making 120,000 a year as dividend payouts off of your $1.5 million worth of investment capital, and you could just live off of the profits. And then you don't have to try. You would be taking extra capital, leveraging it towards something so that it could be considered an investment so that you can get a tax write off on it so that you're not paying Uncle Sam so much money. You would be deliberately trying to spend money on things so that you don't owe taxes. Well, once we get there, that's when we'll be safe. He said, well, true, I need to save more. You do. He said, I only have that says $2,115,237.86 to retire. That's a long way to go. That was a joke. I have no idea what I need to retire. Wow, you joking, but technically, depending on the standard of living that you have, $2.1 million might be what you need. If you were living in California and 10% was 210,000 a year, $2.1 million would be the quantity of money you would need to settle down. So all jokes aside, that could be a valid number for some people. But if you know that that's if you know that that's the amount of money that you need, you're not going to get that in 10 years. Not unless you're a dividend rotation strategy and or win the lottery or something like that. You're doing high risk investment opportunities that's giving out high dividend yields in order for you to get $2 million in 10 years. But the fact of the matter is that you could put your money in places where your money makes money for you, and inside of 20 years, you can see yourself with $2 million because it's easier to wrap your mind around generating $200,000 a year worth of profits for, well, $100,000 a year worth of profits every year for 20 years, as opposed to, 200,000 a year every year for 10. See what I'm saying? So you got to think about that. So I'm sure 2 million is fair to retire. It is fair to retire. It's just hard to get. Because if your standard of living is 90% of your income, you're not going to be able to get that $2 million that quick. Now, if your standard of living is 10 to 20% of your income and your income is $220,000, you're living off of $20,000. You can put 200,000 a year away for 10 years and get you $2 million. If you got $125,000 a year income and you're living a $25,000 a year lifestyle where you could put away 100,000 a year for 20 years, you could still get to that $2 million. But if you're making 175,000 a year and you're living a $170,000 lifestyle where you only got $5,000 left over every year in the bank, you're not going to get to $2 million. And if you get laid off of that job, quit or get fired, that $175,000 a year job is no longer there. You have a standard of living you can't afford to support. And the older you get, the less likely you're going to find the same job that pays you the same way that the job you quit pays you. So if you was making $175,000 a year, by 45, if you change jobs, you're going to now be making 80,000 a year, doing the exact same work with the competitor. Yeah, that sucks. Is playing a lot of once a week for 1 billion a week a waste of money? Yes, playing the lottery is a waste of money. Playing the lottery is a waste of money. The quantity of money that you put away on the lottery, you could do that with Bitcoin and make more money. And Bitcoin is highly volatile. Instead of throwing down money on because if you was to put $1 a week into Bitcoin, you would get more money back off of Bitcoin than what you would off of every scratch off, every lottery ticket, every Powerball, every pick four that you would have ever bought in your life if you just put that money on Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is more volatile than the stock market. So, yeah, but it's $52 a year that you're throwing away. It's $52 a year that you're throwing away where you could have put it somewhere. When Bitcoin doubled in value, if you would have put $52 in there and it doubled in value, you would have had $102 inside of a year. But if you spent $52 on a lottery and you didn't win, you would have wasted $52 that year. And small wasteful spendings like that, just like we just talked about yesterday, that one $15 cup of coffee 5 days a week could lead you to spending between $3,000 and $9,000 a year on just the guilty pleasure of buying one overly expensive Starbucks coffee once a day. Those individuals that drink beer, if you drink a case of beer a day and it's $25 a case, and you drink at least 1 to 2 cases a day every day of the week, you'll find yourself spending $15,000 to $20,000 a year on just beer. And if you were putting that $15,000 to $20,000 a year away in 20 years, you could be sipping on Johnny Walker Blue and Patron and Remy and Zinfandels and other top end wines and never run out of money because you would only be spending the interest. That's a big difference. He says, uh, a very rational argument. I just get excited thinking about winning $100 million, but you're not winning $100 million. If you get paid out up front, you're only going to get 50 million out of that, and then they're going to give you a prize tax, which means they're going to take 50% of your $50 million, which means you'll only have $25 million left. And If you don't spend that $25 million wisely, you'll be broke within 2 years. Most people who win the lottery are broke not too long after they've won the lottery. Usually because all of their friends and family come running in their face with their hand out, and then all of the wasteful spending. You buy houses, you buy cars, you buy all of this expensive stuff. You're living a millionaire lifestyle with a broke mindset, and you don't put any money aside for the taxes. And then when they come to collect on the taxes, you don't got it no more. And then they MC Hammer repossessing all your stuff. And then you back to living in the hood, working at that minimum wage job. It ain't about winning $1 million. It's about doing what's right with it once you get it. Is that a case of beer seems crazy uh, for a day, they have to be really alcoholics. No, you don't. No, you don't. I am just shocked. No, think about this: 20-ounce bottle of beer, one per hour. There's only six in the case. I'm not talking about that 24 pack of Bush. I'm talking about the bottles. The bottles are usually 15 to $25 per pack for six of them. You could drink one per hour for 6 hours and go through a six pack. That might have cost you $20. But if you're spending $20 a day on beer and you do that 30 days out of the month, you just spent what, $600 a month times 10 months? That's $6,000 times 12 months. That's $7,200 that you spent on beer for one case of beer. If you're a frat boy status and you like to get those 24 packs for $25 and you want to chug those with your homies, now you're spending 14 or 15,000 a year on just beer. If you smoke cigarettes, cigarettes are sometimes $10 a pack. Some people smoke 2 packs a day. Between $10 to $20 a day worth of cigarettes and $10 to $20 a day worth of beer, you're spending $20 to $40 a day worth of bad habits, where you're ultimately spending 15 to $20,000 a year for just bad habits. So when I told you when you first got on the show, started asking questions about how you could be living above your natural standard of living just based on wasteful spending, that's what I was referring to. Then you got those lonely men that spend $100 a night on taking girls out on dates, trying to impress them, hoping that they can find them a girlfriend. And the girls are only going out on those dates because you're paying. They usually don't even go on a second date with you. But between the $20 a day on bad habits, where you're spending almost $20,000 a year on cigarettes and beer, and then the $100 a week, 2 times a month at minimum, where you're spending an extra $200 a month, which is an extra 2,400 or $3,000 a month taking girls out on dates. Now you're at $25,000 a year worth of wasteful spending. And that's if you don't have a girlfriend that you're giving $300 to $500 a month to do her hair, nails, and everything on top of all of that, where you're spending $30,000 to $40,000 a year on wasteful spending. Now, if you're making about 75 to 85,000 a year and you're spending about 35,000 a year on this wasteful spending, remember I said that when you break up with your girlfriend, that 41% of your income comes back. There it went. Wasteful spending. We don't think about that. But after you start doing the numbers, you're like, she staying at home now, karaoke night in the house. Either, yeah, I was thinking about 25 beers, one per day is reasonable if you drink, but really wasteful on spending. You're not doing one per day. Most people usually drink 2 to 3 beers per day if they're drinking alcohol. Because one, light beers don't really get you the buzz you need to stop being pissed off about how your day sucks. 3 or 4 of them might help you feel better about the day. But even if you got a 25 pack and you're drinking three or four of them a day, you're still going to be drinking that one case every 5 days. And if you got somebody else living in the house with you, shit's going to go faster because alcoholics don't drink alone. But they always pay for the case. So let's get into this freelance world that we haven't touched on yet. I told y'all today was going to be a long show. Companies are learning the hard way that copying and pasting from an AI isn't a content strategy. It's a recipe for boring your audience. This creates a massive opportunity. So the solution isn't to stop using AI, it's to add a crucial human in the loop. This is where you, the AI content creator, come in. You have a job that isn't just proofreading, you are the content refiner. So you're the bridge between the AI's raw robotic outputs and the polished, engaging content and business needs. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Well, we're here every night of the week, and while we don't let the sun rise without going live, we don't always start on time. But right now, up until at least until daylight savings time finishes up, we should be starting at right around 11:30 Eastern Standard Time, or between 11:30 and 11:45 Eastern Standard Time. Because, like I said, we don't always start on time, but we always start. That's why you should subscribe and then hit the notification button. If you look on the YouTube channel, you will see we have most of the next 2 weeks up there already. So you can kind of get a glimpse of what we're going to be talking about coming soon. And you notice since the government shutdown, we got more financial information on Thursday and Friday because we just did a self help story on Monday to help those people get over the fall. Now, what you're going to do here is you're going to take that 80% finished draft from the AI that was produced and add the final 20% of human touch that makes all the difference. So the storytelling, brand voice, and factual accuracy is all included. Companies are actively hiring for this particular position with thousands of jobs for AI content editing listed right now on platforms like Upwork and Fiverr, where you can arrange for quick payouts. So, what does an AI content editor actually do? You were talking about Zeta about doing something that part time that knocks out a little bit of money, and you thought about the notary thing, but try this. Your toolkit is going to be simple. You have a powerful AI like ChatGTP 4, Cloud 3, Gemini, or Perplexity, and a solid process. You get a draft from the client. Your first job is to be a detective. You fact check every claim and statistic. Next, you become the sculptor. You rewrite sentences for better flow, cutting out robotic phrases like in today's digital landscape. Finally, you become an artist, weaving in stories and examples that connect with the reader on an emotional level. That way, you're able to see yourself in a better position. He says, imagine someone robs a bank during a government shutdown, but nobody responds because the FBI is the one that responds to bank robberies. Okay, so here's the thing. Banks don't carry that much cash in it. So you might do better going and hitting up a Waffle House than you do hitting up a bank. Second off, ain't nobody calling no FBI for the robbery itself. They're calling the FBI for the chain of bank robberies that have occurred nationwide. They're calling the local SWAT department that's going to come and take care of the situation. And SWAT does not take names and does not take hostages. So you will be engaged like a 5 star on Grand Theft Auto, and they are going to make sure that you don't walk out of that scenario. So you try that. You would do better some type of gift card scam than you would robbing a bank. It is safer that way. The AI toolbot, I still don't know how to learn about it. Well, the AI toolbots are already created. All you have to do is use them in your favor. There are things, and the reason why I talk about perplexity is that's one of the information sources that I utilize to curate the entire internet. You can drop a PDF file into it, have it scan the PDF file, and then coordinate all the information that you want off of it. You can scan the internet for similar content. You can fact check the facts. Now, granted, there are some areas of the internet that are completely scrubbed by the rich, but you can fact check the facts for the most part. Then you've got to do your own detailed sleuthing after that. He said, well, okay, so rewrite robotic responses. Yes. Yeah, AI seems to be to plane of answers. Well, that's because it's not the AI that is providing the plain answers. The AI is providing the answer to the plain question. We ask such a broad spectrum question like, is the government shut down right now? And they'll say, yeah, it's been shut down since the first. But you don't ask an intricate question like, how does the government shutdown directly impact the flow of capital into the Chinese government? That is a detailed question. It would give you a better response. People ask really bullshit questions. Is LeBron James the best basketball player of all time? Rumor mill's going to have it that because he has broken every record in basketball history, that he would be declared the greatest of all time. But LeBron James is garbage. His stats are below par. He has been in the league for more than two times longer than the average basketball player. And it took him twice as long, if not three times longer, to get the stats of the legends that he beat the records of, where he only beat those records because those legends either died or retired. Fact is that if you cross check what you think with what you know, you'll come to find that certain information isn't what it seems on the surface. It says, Grand Theft Auto teaches kids how to rob banks, allegedly. No, it doesn't teach them how to rob banks. It teaches them how to drive cars. It teaches them how to negotiate at gun stores. It teaches them how to shoot guns. It teaches them how to invest in casinos. It teaches them the best way to start up a car dealership with no money down. It teaches you how to make friends and travel the world. If you think about that diamond heist from GTA 5, it teaches you how to work the stock market because if you invest in the diamond company before the diamond heist mission and then sell the stock right before the diamond heist mission, when the stock market crashes, you could put all your money into the diamond heist mission or the diamond heist store, and then after you beat the game, all the money in the stock for the diamond heist thing would have quadrupled. You would have like unlimited quantities of capital. But I mean, you got to knock off a jewelry store. He says, so I need to be more detailed on the questions. Yes, everybody needs to be more detailed on the questions. Remember when we were kids and we did not just ask what's tomorrow got in store for us? We asked a really legitimate, detailed question. When is the next time you're going to bring me to Toys R Us so that I can get that Iron Man helmet that I've been asking you for since my birthday of last year? And when they say no, why? We don't just stop with the first question. Why? Remember when we were teenagers? Are you planning on getting me a car for my birthday? Because I'm going to be getting my driver's license and I want that Camaro, that Mustang, that Chevelle, that whatever you were looking at when you were younger, the Malibu, or whatever the case may be, because you want to take it with you to prom and bring your friends out and all this other stuff. You want to be the first person with a car. You know what I'm saying? The detailed questions that we had when we were kids. As an adult, which car goes the fastest? Hellcat? Okay, cool. Hellcats are the fastest cars in the world. Man, I just found 12 sleepers that can still outrun a cop car. That is not a Hellcat. That is a 20 to 30-year-old car that still exists that you can pick up from a used car lot right now. They say, yeah, LeBron James has been in the NBA longer than most people have ever been alive. Is, yeah, I'm dying over here laughing about GTA 5. If I ask a question that is paragraph long, what will happen? It'll probably give you a 3-page response. The deeper the question, the more information it's going to give you. The more broader the question, the shorter the response is because there's too many variables to calculate, which is a niche based question. Like what we're talking about here, niche based AI work. So let's imagine a case study with Maria. Maria's in an office. She's an administrator who enjoys writing. She positions herself as an AI content editor on Upwork, where freelancers can earn from $30 to $75 an hour for this kind of work. A tech marketing agency hires her to fix 5 AI generated blog posts. The drafts are dry and full of jargon. Maria spends 2 hours on each article, fact checking technology and the claims, rewriting the intros, adding real world examples, and matching the text to the agency's brand voice. The agency is blown away and offers her a retainer to edit 20 articles a month, charging an hourly rate of $40. She's earning $80 per post because you're going to spend like 2 hours on each post. For 20 articles, she's making an extra $1,600 a month. At 2 hours per article, she's putting in an extra 40 hours per month. As she gets faster, she can raise her rates and work less hours. This specialized skill commands a much higher rate than simpler tasks like data entry or online surveys. The pro tip here is to specialize in a high stakes niche. Anyone can edit a lifestyle blog post, but if you become the go to editor for complex fields like legal, medical, or financial content, your value skyrockets in these industries. Accuracy is everything, and businesses will pay a premium for an editor who can ensure their AI assisted content is 100% accurate and compliant, allowing you to command rates of 75 to $100 or even more than that per hour. And if you're sitting on 2 to 3 hours for that one document, you're getting $200 to $300 for that one document. He said, maybe I need to ask it about niche based questions to find money where someone isn't doing it already. That's a good question. I have not asked. I'll ask it today and I'll see what I can figure out. And I'll tell you about it tomorrow when we're talking about our new country to invest in. But from what I typically do is I look up all of the ways that you can make money. Then I follow that up with looking at all of the ways that are unorthodox ways to make money, legal unorthodox ways to make money. And then I comprise them together to something that makes sense. Because a lot of these I didn't know until I did the research for today's show. Once I found out about it, I'm like, "Shee, I gotta tell somebody." Right now, we already got 2 gigs in, and we're just getting warmed up because we're not even halfway through. We got a couple pages left to get halfway through. That's what I'm telling you. I got a 61-page document here. I drafted this before the podcast. I did research today, y'all. So if you're already getting ideas, if you haven't done so like Zenda's already done, do me a quick favor and make sure that you hit the subscription button. Make sure that you like the channel. Follow us if you're watching us on Twitter. Follow us if you're watching us on Twitch because we do this 7 nights a week. And take advantage of those reaction buttons as well as the like button if you haven't already done so. Constantly researching, guys. I'm constantly researching and I'm breaking down actionable, non hype guides just like this. And subscribing is the best way to make sure that you don't miss out on any of the stuff that I'm giving you. And this is free knowledge. I strongly look, y'all could be subscribing to the channel and then joining the membership and paying me a monthly premium to get this information on the low. Y'all are getting it from me for free. You notice that so many gurus, so many get rich quick guys, so many buy my product guys will start off feeding you some bullshit, not tell you the ins and outs of it, make you join their membership for a price so that they can tell you the rest of it. And you sit here with me for 2 to 3 hours a day, every day of the week, and I give you all of the exact same information that they kept secret from you. I give it to you for free. All you got to do is show up. It'd be nice if they threw me a few dollars here and there to pay for the platform. The platform ain't cheap, but I do it so that you can become better at what you do. And it makes a huge difference. It makes a huge difference. One of the things that makes it better for me because I'm only going to get fame out of this. I don't make money off of YouTube. If I'm going to make money, I make money elsewhere because I have this podcast. But when I travel to places, we're very popular in Bangladesh right now. If I were to go to Bangladesh, most of the people there would know who I am because a few 100,000 of them have been watching the channel over the past couple of months. And over there, few 100 million people, close to 10 to 15% of the population has seen this podcast. So they know who I am. So if I was to get off the plane out there and start walking around, that's Xander from, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I get out of this. The legacy is so true. I appreciate the honest answers, kind sir. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna tell you, I don't go deep into how I get things done, but I give you guys a quick overview of how I do what I do, the same way you could do the same. Most people don't do it, but the fact that you could do what I did to get the same information that I got, and I'm sharing this information with you, which is going to help you become more successful, the knowledge, the public knowledge that you could have utilized to make yourself more successful, you did not decide to look into until you talked to me first. That's what makes me so valuable because you only come to me to make yourself more successful. I am an asset to my network. My network is everybody who's watching my podcast. That's how it works. And one of the things that I tell you is that you must be valuable to your network. That way, your network can show you value. I cannot benefit from a network of people that does not benefit from me. So let's get back into it. We're going to move on to our third gig, one that has the potential to build a truly passive income stream, the AI powered digital product creator. I think this one's pretty cool. The core problem this solves is going to be a classic problem. You're not the one with the problem, you're the one providing the solution. Millions of people dream of selling products online, but stopped by a single thought. I'm not creative. We've tried drop shipping. Drop shipping does work, but it is a hard thing to micromanage. I've done it before, made $12,000 in less than a month, but it is a hard thing to manage. Highly competitive. Some people see stay-at-home parents selling handmade crafts on Etsy or people flipping thrift store finds on eBay and think they need a specific artistic talent or an eye for rare bargains. Michael will tell you, he's been on the show for a long period of time, and Michael will tell you that he does not, he goes to estate sales and he just grabs stuff and then he'll sell it to the person behind him. He'll sell it online, Facebook Marketplace, and turn a profit off of it. And then he takes the profits and go to the next estate sale, just buy more stuff. You got to understand the mental block that keeps individuals from taking action on certain things sidelines them from their own success. So the solution is to use AI as your creative co-pilot. And for someone like me that is generating a new show 7 days a week, 365 days a year with a new topic every day, coming from a new angle every day, doing research on the facts that are being presented, the statistics that are being presented every day. So I don't talk about personal feelings, I talk about the facts. And that prevents me from being wrong. So when somebody comes up and counters me, you're countering the fact that you don't like the facts that I delivered, not the fact that the facts are factual. So what happens is I make sense what I told you, and then I try to get you to make it make sense what you told me, and you can't because you feel like you don't like what I said, not that what I said was wrong. And I love that. I'm entertained by that because I was in debate club. I always wondered about selling online through Facebook. Do people pay taxes on that cash sale? Yes, they do. At least if you're in America. How do you navigate that? Is Michael here? Can he answer that? Michael should be here. He's usually here. I don't know if he's going to answer that, but typically you go to an estate sale, it's an auction. They tell you what's up for sale, what the starting bid is. You bid on it. You guys keep bidding until somebody outbids somebody else, and then you own it. Um, then you take it and put it up for sale. Uh, when you take the stuff in your house and put it up for sale, it's like a garage sale online. If you create a thrift store style scenario online where you have a specific website that sells stuff, you could probably drive a hell of a lot of traffic off of that. But you would have to make sure that certain items that got sold, that you would remove them off of the site and replace them with items that haven't been sold yet. And how do you collect capital off of that? If you're doing sales online, it should get direct deposited into your account. If you charge the customer taxes on the product, then you should be able to give the taxes to the government, and then you don't got to worry about the money coming out of your pocket. Sales tax. So if you tax the customer sales tax, you're good to go. You say, I mean, on eBay, I get it, but I think they must send you the tax information since it's a CC sale. You can get, if you're using their credit card platform, then you can get it from them. But if you're using a third party credit card platform like PayPal, Square, Stripe, or something like that, you can just contact them and get the because what you're looking for is how many, not how many transactions you've made, what's the total amount of transactions that was made. And then you're going to be looking at the cost. And when you do uh, cost to profit, if you didn't make a certain quantity of profit, you're going to end up in the clear. You're going to have so many deductions that you don't even have taxable income. That's how it works itself down. So our solution to our previously Um, Suggested scenario is use AI as your creative co-pilot, right? So today's AI tools have um, a certain level of creation, and they're democratized, not like what we would want. And it's letting you translate your ideas into sellable digital products faster than ever. So you can utilize this, unlike physical products that need to be created, stored, and shipped for everyday sale. A digital product is made once and can be sold infinitely because you can sell a digital copy of the original digital file and you don't have to keep creating digital files. And you can post that up on Amazon and other such places where when people buy the digital file, they buy the access code to the digital file and you get the money before they get the digital file. And with the increases that Amazon is putting on drop shipping due to the union of the Amazon workers and the cost of the robotic workforce that Digitech was creating for Amazon through Jeff Bezos, at least now you're not going to be paying that heightened premium for shipping and handling because it's a digital product that's going to be downloaded off of the platform. Less overhead, less storage costs, more profits. You can become the creative director where you come up with the concepts and the AI handles the technical execution. The how to in this one is going to be all about mastering a few key tools. For visual products, your main tool would be an AI art generator like Midjourney, Doll E3, or Stable Diffusion. The skill is crafting effective prompts. Say you want to create fantasy themed coloring book pages. You'd research popular themes on Etsy, then head to Majori and create prompts like adult coloring book page, intricate details, a fairy house in a uh, gnarled oak tree, clean black and white line art, whimsical style, 4K resolution. After generating dozens of variations, you'd use a tool like Canva to compile them into a professional looking PDF ready to sell. Now, this simple principle applies to a t-shirt graphics, digital scrapbook papers, or even affiliate marketing by promoting products with AI generated visuals. So you asked me earlier in the show, you work for a t-shirt company. How would you make extra money on the side? You can do graphics designs on t-shirts and then sell them online. You can get the t-shirts from your company at a discount, which offsets the cost of the graphics design being imprinted on the shirt. Then you sell the shirt for reasonably close to the same price as a name brand shirt, and they'll come and swoop that t-shirt up. It might have cost you $3 for the shirt and $5 for the imprinting on it, which makes it an $8 shirt that you sold for $15 and made you a $7 profit. Ooh, do that 100 times a day. And it's automatic. The text based products, for example, you can use ChatGPT for to brainstorm ideas for digital planners, journals, or short ebooks. And let's look at a case study. Ben wants to create passive income, right? He's not an artist, but is very organized. He uses ChatGPT to brainstorm the outline and a digital planner for college students. He takes the text, designs it in Canva with a clean aesthetic, and it's lists with hyperlinks to a PDF file on Etsy for $15. Now, the first month, he only makes a few sales, but since it's a digital product, the work is done, the list stays active, and people keep finding it. By the end of the first year, his planner is consistently selling, bringing in an average of $1,000 to $1,500 a month in almost completely passive income, an asset that works for him while he sleeps. Now, remember, I told you that's what we wanted to have. We wanted to have assets that work for us in our sleep. The pro tip for this gig is to think in bundles. Instead of selling one t shirt design, sell a vintage sci fi t shirt design pack with 20 graphics. So you'd be selling 20 shirts with graphics on them for a certain quantity per shirt set. So if you were selling it at $10 a set or $10 a shirt or $15 a shirt and you're doing 20 shirts, you're looking at a couple $1,000 for the shirts. Instead of one printable wall art piece, create a modern farmhouse gallery wall set. The wall set makes a difference where you can put the set together in a bundle with a 5% off on the total cost of the set. Where if people are going to buy the each individual shirt out of the set, you can make more money off of selling singles than what you do selling bulk, but you're selling bulk with the incentive of buy 10 times more shirts. I'll give you a discount. Sell more often at a lower rate. Now, bundles dramatically increase your average order value and are perceived as a much better deal, helping you scale your revenue faster. Now, the fourth gig is maybe the most AI native job on our list. It's a role that didn't exist a few years ago, but is now one of the most sought after skills. It is the freelance prompt engineer or AI whisperer. Now, the problem is most people are terrible at talking to AI, just like we finished discussing a moment ago. They ask simple, vague questions and they get simple, vague answers. A business might ask GTP to write a social media post about our new product, and the result is a generic text that falls flat. They know the AI is capable of more, but they don't know how to unlock it. This is the level beyond simple freelance gigs like virtual assistants or data entry. It requires a new kind of creative logic. So the solution is you because you put yourself in this position, the prompt engineer. So you are going to be a specialist who crafts detailed context rich instructions, the prompts and the guide an AI tool produces with specific high quality results. I know I said that pretty quickly. I was yawning at the same time. This is a lot of information to take in, and taking it in and regurgitating it at the same time is almost like being in a 3 hour lecture where you're taking a nap because the teacher's got a monotone voice. I find myself rested after these podcasts. Now, here, your essential programming is the AI and you're using natural language. So this skill is in such high demand that freelance prompt engineers can charge significant rates, with some estimates suggesting a range from 47 to over $300 per hour for specialized projects. $300 an hour. So, how do you become a prompt engineer? It's about logic, creativity, and structure. A great prompt should include a few key things: role, task, concept, construction, constraints, and examples. So, first, let's give the AI role. Act as the world class marketing copywriter. Next, define the task. Write a 300-word email. Then provide some context. The target audience is frequent business travelers. After that, set your constraints. The tone should be professional. Do not use jargon. Finally, provide an example of a past success. A prompt with this level of detail will produce a result that is definitely better than a simple request. So, you can monetize the skill in two ways. First, sell pre made prompts and sell them in packs on the marketplace, like prompt base. Second, and more lucrative, offer your services as a freelance consultant. You can work with companies to build custom prompt libraries for their sales, marketing, and customer service teams. Now, granted, you can do the same, but you're not going to have the ideas that they have. Putting all of your information in folders makes it easier to find. Then you can pull that folder up and then you can go take that evidence and bring it to your new employer so that you can get that job or start up your own company and do this for yourself. Now, let's imagine a case study for Chloe. She becomes an expert at getting exactly what she wants from AI. She reaches out to an e commerce company and offers a free prompt audit. She shows them how their simple prompts are holding them back. Then she crafts a master prompt for their social media post using the framework we just discussed. The output is drastically different. Now, this company is so impressed that they hired her on a retainer for $4,000 a month to create a prompt playbook for the entire company. So she becomes an invaluable part of their team without being a full time employee, and her expertise commands high prices. Now, the pro tip for aspiring prompt engineers is to master prompt chaining and advanced techniques where the output of one prompt becomes the input for the next. And this lets you create complex automated workflows. For example, a chain could take a video transcript, summarize it, identify key takeaways, write a blog post, and then create a series of tweets. Building these multi step systems is what separates a basic prompt writer from a high income AI architect. Now we're almost done. Our fifth and final gig is perfectly suited for the creator economy's instability demand for videos. The AI powered video producer. The problem is clear. Videos, especially short form videos for TikTok, Reels, and Shorts, is key. Businesses are desperate for more of this type of posting. Some will pay a freelance social media video editor around $20 per short video for simple edits using tools like CapCut, which is a decent daily pay hustle. Because if you're doing $20 a short and you're on that short for about an hour, it should take 5 to 10 times more than the time that they planned you to edit it in order for it to get done. So if it's a 1 minute video, it should take you 3 minutes. 3 minutes, not more than an hour. Well, not more than 30 minutes because that's like 10 times more than 3 minutes. But traditional video production is slow and expensive. This is something we need to pay attention to. And a single professionally edited 1 minute video can take a human editor hours to complete. So this makes it hard to scale. The solution is to leverage a suite of powerful AI video tools to become a one person production agency. By using AI to automate the most tedious parts of the video editing, you can deliver high quality content at a speed and scale a traditional editor can't match. And this efficiency allows you to graduate from charging per video to offering high value packages with some AI proficiency editors charging rates starting at around $100 per hour or more. So your how to is going to be about building an AI toolbox. It is included the AI spokesperson generators like Thesis or Hygen, which creates talking head videos from a script. But the real game uh, changes, and when it does, AI powered short form clips like Opus Clip, which we use on this show, or video or vidIQ can help you out, where you feed them a long form video like this podcast, and the AI automatically finds the most viral worthy moments and re edits them to a dozen or more engaging short clips. Finally, you have an AI enhanced editor that is lovable towards the scripts, which lets you edit videos by simply editing a text document. So let's walk you through the last case study. David notices podcasters are struggling to create short form content. He positions himself as an AI repurposing specialist. He has his client use 8 to 10 hours a week the product that he created, manually finding clips. David's new workflow allows him to run their 1 hour podcast through Opus Clip with 15 minutes on the clock. And the AI generator will generate 15 high potential clips, completely with captions. David spends another hour doing minor touch ups. The entire process takes him about 90 minutes to create a week's worth of content. Now, he charges the podcaster a monthly subscription of $1,200. The podcaster is ecstatic. They save hours and get better results. David quickly scales his business to 5 clients. He now works about 10 hours a week and is on track to generating 6,000 a month in reoccurring revenue. That's a lot of money. The pro tip here is to sell packages and subscriptions, not hourly work. Charging by the hour punishes you for being efficient. Instead, create tiered monthly packages for your success. Starting off, the starter package, 15 short form clips per month. The growth pack that you're going to be looking for is 30 short form clips plus posting to TikTok and Instagram for 1,500. This model gives you predictable reoccurring revenue, and it's going to set you up to build highly profitable businesses. So we spent the last 2.5 hours covering this. You have all the information you need to be successful now. 5 legitimate high income AI gigs that you can start this week. We covered AI app builders, the AI content editors, the AI powered digital product creators, and the freelance engineer. The common thread here is that these gigs don't require you to be a technical genius. They are the next step up from simply using daily pay tasks like website testing or delivering for Uber. And after I told you guys how, I know somebody who was delivering with Uber and now he's not because the complaint that was filed by the client in the car led to his termination. And it's a peer review situation. So it'll leave it that's an effective thing to experience. You want to know how to leverage those powerful tools. So the real money in AI isn't in some far off futuristic job. It's in practical, accessible gigs that are solving real world business problems right now. So you don't need permission or a fantasy wrapped around fancy degrees. All you need is a willingness to learn a few new tools and the drive to take action, which is not always easy to do. Now, I want to hear from the rest of you guys. Which of the 5 gigs should the most interest be put in there? Which one could you see yourself starting? Let me know in the comments below because I currently read every single comment that comes in right now. And if you found this video very, very valuable, if you haven't done so already, make sure that you take the time before we go off the air to subscribe to the channel. The world of AI is moving faster than ever. And my goal is to keep you ahead of the curve with more actionable guides than just the one I gave you today. So, what I want you guys to do is to take your time going through the show, check and double check what we've got coming up for the next couple of weeks. Hit the notification button for those shows so that you can be brought back for all of the information that we have coming up. Now, on our way out, I want to say, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you ladies to make it make sense. So, ladies, please make it make sense. Fellas, this is a primarily a 60% male-driven podcast from the male's perspective. And I give you guys this information to help you guys become higher value men. Now, from here, we are going to utilize the knowledge and efforts that you have to improve your relationship. And we're going to be giving you the information to improve the things that you don't like in your life. So, ladies, this information is not exclusive to just the men. Y'all can take this information and use it to make yourselves higher value women. If your priorities shift because you are starting to carry yourselves and maintaining the mental state of elites, you likely find yourself in a room full of elites socializing and negotiating deals that you never thought possible. So you have to put forth the effort to try. And all I'm here for is to let you know that there is another way. And I'm going to keep giving you alternatives until you take action on them. So with that being said, I want to thank you guys for coming to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Chase validation, now I validate That's my personal command. I'm not mounted on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never yield.